Sorry for that delay. Thank you for you all's patience. With that, I would like to call to order this Brunswick City Commission regular scheduled commission meeting for Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. If we could all please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight, our invocation will be given by Pastor Jermaine Johnson from Community Church of Brunswick. Thank you so much for being with us. Always great to see you out at community events and all that you do for us here in the city.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity that you've entrusted me with to go to the Lord on behalf of this great city and its affairs. So let's make our prayer. Father, we come before you, Lord, even in this hour, Lord. We just welcome your presence in this place, Lord, and we just say thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us thus far. Lord, we are grateful, Lord, that you're the God of all creation, yet you give us an opportunity to have relationship with you. And so, Lord, even right now, we welcome you into this place. Lord, have your way, Lord. We pray, just even confessing our faults before you, God, Lord, anytime that we think that we know better than you, forgive us. And so, Lord, we pray right now for a few things, Lord. We pray, Lord, for your wisdom. We pray, Lord, you said that if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask. So, Lord, we're asking just wisdom, Lord, to lead, to govern, Lord, but most importantly, Lord, how do we serve one another better? Lord, we ask, Father, for unity, that we be on one accord. And Lord, we ask, Lord, for a deeper conviction, Father, that we do right by each other. So, Lord, just have your way here. We pray, God, that first and foremost, we get the grand opportunity to just expect you to answer prayer. So, Lord, hear our prayer. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Oh, I hear you got a family member up here, cousin. She done called you out. I should have let her introduce you. We got the real. Thank you, Pastor. With that, we will move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any addendums or subtractions? You go first.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes,
We will
ma'am.
have some a subtraction from the agenda tonight. Like to defer the Brunswick Housing Authority one appointment.
Here in the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Here in the first and the second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the item is deferred. Any other addendums or subtractions?
Mr. Mayor, I have an additional change to our agenda.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move that we defer item number 9 under city attorney's items. Consider approval of private docking agreement between the city of Brunswick and American Cruise Lines.
Here in the first, do I hear a second? Here in the first and the second, all those in favor show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. The item is deferred. Any other addendums or subtractions?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to defer the update from the police department until a later date.
Here in
That
the
would be under
first.
departmental updates.
Yes, ma'am. Here in the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Here in the first and the second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the item is deferred. Any other addendums or subtractions? Hearing none, we will open it for a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Here in the
Second.
first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Here in the first and second, all those in favor show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes and the agenda is adopted. With that, we will move on to appointments. The appointments that we have before us are 5 appointments to the Urban Redevelopment Authority. I want to say thank you for all of those who have served and given of their time and expertise. Their service has not gone unnoticed and has moved us to an incredible position As we move forward, the people who will be filling the expired terms of the Urban Redevelopment Authority is Kelly Natt, former Mayor Cornell Harvey, Cedric King, Brad Piazza, and Mr. Dion Martin. We will now move on to departmental updates. Fire Department, Chief White. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Give an update. I'll be giving an update on the improvements that is in line for 2025 for the Brunswick Fire Department. And because there's been some questions from the public about hurricane, the year coming up with the events with hurricanes, we're going to have Alec Keaton give an update as well. Some of the things that we've been working on, which are many in the fire department over the last year and a half to get to where we're at this year, and we're trying to finish projects, and we also have some new projects coming on. 2 new promotions that we've had in the fire department in the very recent, actually last week or a couple of weeks ago, we've had Rachel Green added to the fire department. She's a EMA specialist and will be assisting EMA coordinator Alec Keaton in his duties when we do have an unfortunate event or hurricane in this area. It's very critical that that department's with the fire department. I am very much in support of EMA because in the event of an emergency, their job is to coordinate with other agencies and keep us all working together. So it's been working well, and I want to thank y'all for allowing that part to be added. We also have upgrades to our training facility, which we've been talking about. Our training facility is at the station on 4th Street, and we've had a training facility for years, but we've never utilized the training facility to its full extent. And when I became chief, one of the goals that I wanted to do was do our own basic training for our firefighters. We were sending firefighters to Forsyth for 8 weeks, 9 weeks to do training, and we were without them, as well as them being away from their families, and all that became a hindrance. So now we do it all in-house. We have our own training officer. They do the same protocol, the same technique, the same courses. Everything's the same as it would be in Forsyth, except for we can do it right here. It's approved by Forsyth as a regional training facility, and we're able to hold other classes as well. Alec has been instrumental in getting us some EMA classes, as well as some hurricane classes and things like that here that we also implement. One of the newest props that we're adding to the training facility is a confined space simulator that we obtained from Pinova. The simulator was given to us. We had to pay to have it moved, and we've got some welding work and metal work to do to it, but that'll be instrumental for confined space. And we've had a lot of interest for use from that, from the academy, as well as from industry, local industry here that has to train in confined space. So that'll be a welcome addition as well. Friday, our breakfast and our push-in ceremony for our new ladder truck will be held at Station 1. Want y'all all to be there. We will be pushing in the new 107-foot Pierce Ascendant aerial apparatus, and that, along with the 100-foot tower truck, should prepare us for any structural situation we have here. And that's a great addition, and want y'all to come down for that celebration. We also are working with Kara and with 911, the county fire chief, Jekyll Island fire chief, on upgrading our dispatching protocols and enhancing our automatic aid. As y'all know, we respond with the county and Jekyll on calls sometimes, and they respond with us. We are adding AVLs in our vehicles where that Kara will be able to see the closest engine to a particular incident. So when there's a fire at, say, Dunkin' Donuts and a county unit just happens to be riding by, that unit's going to be the first one called, or either if our unit's the first one, they'll be the first one called. So it'll save critical time to get to a fire, which is very critical in the event of an emergency. So that'll be a big help. And Kara, want to thank her for helping us with that because it's added a lot of work for her. But that will be coming on board, and we're hoping to have that system in place September 1 of 2025. And last, major improvements, we've got major improvements would be, the biggest one would be the fire station and public safety building that we're going to be sharing with the PD if it's approved by y'all. And both of the departments have aging buildings that have issues, and we're hoping to get approval to move forward with the public safety facility that will help basically in every aspect as well as recruitment. We'll still be able to utilize everything that we have until then, but it would be great to move into a new facility, and I know Angela's looking forward to it as well. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you have, and then I'll turn it over to Alec to give updates on hurricanes.
Questions or comments for Chief?
And there is a packet, I think, Nate, in your, it's a more detailed packet, but I run through it, the points, high points of it.
Chief White, first of all, what time is the celebration on Friday?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Second, how many fire departments have capitalized on our training facility? I know you said it's regional, or not how many, but what particular other cities?
The county has held, the county has been involved in all 3 of our basic fire classes that we've had so far.
Okay.
They've had multiple members in our classes. The classes that we've held regionally, we've had fire departments from pretty much this whole area here, McIntosh. And that's what that's what our goal is to be able to be a hub for these smaller counties that's right here close to us, to be able to have a training facility and not have to go to Forsyth. And Georgia Fire Academy is in support of it because they want regional sites. Savannah's our closest site,
Okay.
our closest regional site. So we want to be able to handle that situation here on the coast.
Well, great. Thank you.
Since Commissioner Atkinson Williams kind of beat me to my question, I'm just gonna piggyback on her. She asked, how is it being utilized to its maximum potential? I'm asking, how has that increased revenue for the fire department?
Well, for revenue, it actually doesn't increase the revenue, but it's a cost savings to the fire department, because before we would have to give people checks to go to Forsyth. We would have to provide a vehicle for them to go to Forsyth. Now they're right here. And at lunch, they go on their own and eat lunch just like they would on any other job. So we don't have to pay that added expense, which adds up to a lot in a training budget.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to utilize that savings for more specialized training that before we couldn't do.
Okay. So when they went off to training, the only cost was the lodging, per diem, et cetera, to that effect. You didn't have to pay to attend the training?
No, there's no cost at the Georgia Fire Academy yet. There is talks, and there has been for the last year or so, that they are looking to implement charges. Mm-hmm. And that's why we started moving, being we had the facility. We called them down. They came down, the Georgia Fire Academy came down, the director reviewed our training facility, and we told him the plan, and he jumped right on it, said he was all on board with it, because they also don't have room in their classes, and they don't have the dorm space for the fire academy for all the classes. So they want to do the regional so you can keep people in their areas as well.
So there is a potential at some point to make
yes.
revenue. Okay.
And if you bring in like some of the specialized classes that we're looking at bringing in this year, we may have people from all over come. Well, those people will be staying in hotels and things of that nature, eating at restaurants, so there will be monetary value to that as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Chief, I appreciate all your hard work and this report. Can you just, I've read over the documentation that you provided, so I appreciate that thorough. But I'd love for you to just share, since we do have the public here, a little bit on staffing levels and what our call volume has been over the last year or so.
Yeah, right now, current to date, we're about 2,200 calls, and that's pretty much in line. We're a little over from last year, but it'll probably even out over the years. We normally run about 5,000 calls a year. And we pretty much stay pretty average on that, but we're at 2,200 now. And we're, for as capacity wise, we've got, two that we're, recruits that we're looking to hire. And then we'll probably, I've talked to the city manager, we'll probably be pretty much at the level that we can, fit them in our department, because our living conditions for the number of people is getting cramped.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Additional questions or comments? A few from me really quick along those same lines. What's kind of your feeling on the department's ideas about not only growth, which is attracting new firemen, but also retention of those firemen? So I know when we first got elected, we put together a package that had incentives for both police and fire. We want to continue to be attractive in the ways that we can be, while also providing lanes for firemen and firewomen to grow through our department. So what's your feeling on that? Is there a space for growth there? Do you feel like we're where we need to be, or how should we be looking at that?
I think our retention level has increased tremendously over the last couple of years, and it basically we have a full staff because of that. If there's any downside to our packages that people complain about, it's things that the city manager has already talked to us about, is our retirement itself. If that could be tweaked some for the younger generation because of the timeline.
Can you, just so we know, can you talk to us in layman's terms, kind of what that means for us, and the thoughts of some of the younger ones are looking at a different retirement package, access to those funds? How do they look?
Right. What they're looking at, as you know, the younger generation, they have internet and everything else, so they can check information all over the country. And you've got fire departments, even close fire departments to us, that have retirement set up so that you don't have to spend the time. The way the city of Brunswick is, it's 30 years and 65. So like some departments have 20-year retirements, some have 25-year retirements. And the younger generation, they're looking for that. So I would say if there's anything, that would probably be something. And I know the city manager's working on that now.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. The next question that I have is, do you all have kind of a transparent and clear pay schedule, in the sense that I'm a year one fireman, by year 5 I should expect to be X, by year 10, and then does that in a coherent way connect to your rank as well?
Yes, sir. We have a career path that we implemented with the city manager approval, and they can go and get the classes. They know what classes they have to get to move to the next level.
Good.
The only stipulation is they can only do it one time per year, so they only get one increase per year.
Okay. And they could receive as much training as they wanted to in a year, but you would only get that 1 year bonus.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The way that it's set up, just say if I got 3 trainings in 1 year, I could have stretched that out over 3 years and get a bonus each of those years. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
But do I get a bonus if I did 3 in 1 year? Do you just space the bonuses out?
We can only give one per year, but they can bank that one and get it the next year.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I was. Perfect. Yeah. That's great.
If they want to achieve that second level before the year's over with, they can do that. They'll just get the increase the next year.
One question before I have a question, which I think is for city manager. Last question for you though. As a community, and the calls that you go on and the thousands of calls that you go on, do you see any substantial problem that we could work on as a community, that we could focus on as a commission, that we could focus on as a community? I know a little while back we talked about the work that you all had done to get, I think, fire and smoke alarms to everyone who needed them. When you all are responding to things, are there things that we need to do as far as if it's educating the public, if it's providing them with a service that would make our citizens and our city more safe?
This board has already done it. Y'all have allowed us to fill the inspection division to full staff. We have 3 full-time inspectors now. That in itself has dropped the number of serious calls because fire prevention is a lot cheaper than fire suppression. And having those fire inspectors go out, do code enforcement. I know y'all probably get calls sometimes from businesses that said, hey, the fire department says we got to do this. But in the long run, it saves money and time and buildings and lives.
Well, we appreciate your work on that. Thank you for your leadership in our city and especially in our fire department. City Manager McDuffie, one of the things that I see here is capital improvement goals. I know that's something that I'd had a conversation with the chief about kind of when I first got elected. What are the timelines for those capital improvements? When should we be expecting to see those? Because I've walked through the firehouse a couple times and I can see how their quarters are very tight. Technology upgrades, I think, are woefully needed. So just trying to find out a real timeline on those upgrades.
Well, as you know, we approved the analysis that's ongoing right now, and they are going to give us a report of improvements that we can make in our facilities. And of course, you know, it's based on funding, what's available. So we will look at how we can do the things that we choose, you know, based on what they recommend. Right now, we don't have a lot of funding in place, but because we didn't put a lot of funding for facility improvements in the SPLOST, and, you know, we don't have a lot of capital money that comes through the general fund. But I think based on what they tell us, we can kind of phase out how we can fund, whether we need to look at a bond issue or other avenues of funding for the facilities once we get that plan.
That's good to hear. I'd love to hear some follow-up of, I know we have that assessment coming, but even if it's us putting some kind of pay for schedule in place so we know when we can start to tackle some of them. I know at current, the firehouse is a very historical firehouse, but we're also kind of landlocked where we are. So I know there is a greater conversation far beyond just upgrades.
Yeah,
It is
most of the public think we own that lot behind where we park,
Right.
but it's actually part of church
churches.
property and they allow us to park there. So
Right.
we're landlocked. The only parking we have is the new parking area by the new truck stall, which is very limited.
Right. Thank you for that, Chief. Any additional questions or comments?
Chief, I have one question. You mentioned about, well, the mayor mentioned about retention. And you saying you're younger firemen, so people coming newly in the career. What type of flexible work schedule do you have, or do they prefer to work to become, you know, to stay to retain them as a fireman?
Well, that's one of the things that we're working on now and that we're changing to is the work schedule. The new work schedule is everybody's wanting to go to is the 4896. And that's what we're moving to now. We've took votes and multiple times and done, and now we're moving in that direction to move to 4896. And we did a 3-month trial period, and we had more support over the 3 months. So we're going to try it for a little while and see how it goes. Right now, it's going good. Basically, what it means is they work 2 shifts, and then they're all 4. It allows, there's a lot of benefits with it for families. And that's one of the reasons that I decided to move on board. I'm an old-time fireman from '84, and I certainly did not like change. And I was one of the ones that did not. But after looking at all the studies and the benefits of it, it definitely decreases divorce rates, gives them more time with their families, gives them more quality sleep time and rest time. So we're going to try it and see how it goes.
Okay, so 48 hours on and 4 days, 96.
48 and 96 hours off.
Okay, and we have enough, firemen to accommodate that?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, we have enough. We have 12 per shift.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
It should hit your, burnout too.
Yes, and that was one of the factors that swayed me over to it, is because after reviewing several studies, and we had a committee do as well, the stress and levels and the fatigue levels over extended period of time improved with this new schedule. So we're going to try it, and the city manager was okay with letting us try it, and we're going to do. As with anything, you have some for and some against, but
Right. What was the old schedule or the old way or the?
24/48.
Oh, work 24 and 48. Okay,
Yeah, you work one day and off two.
okay. That work two, y'all four. It's the same thing, double.
Yeah, and it's the same, they work the same amount of days. It didn't change their hours or their days.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, along those lines, I hear you when you say, I'm an old timer, and we thank you for your long service. And because of that service, I think I deeply care about the opinions of those who've given a lot of years to our fire department and to our city. Has there been any flexibility in that schedule for those who have served 10, 20 plus years during this time? Because I could see how that could be a major change to those who've called Brunswick home for a very long time.
Actually, surprisingly, when we first started talking about it, and we did the trial period, and when we first started the trial period, the chief officers that had been there for years, one of them's here with me now, actually didn't think it would be a good fit. But over the 3-month period, they were like, "Hey, the 4 days off is good." So,
So everybody's come along. You got the
everybody,
consensus.
yeah, people's coming along.
That's good.
more, so.
Okay. Well, that's good. Any other questions for Chief? With that being said, Chief, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. We appreciate you. Thank you.
And with that, I'll have Alec come up and give y'all an update.
Sir. Good evening, Commission, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for being up here. Good news is hurricane season's canceled. We've got nothing to worry about. So that's what everyone is excited to hear. While you might hear in the news, they'll say overactive or above average. The important thing to know is that the city of Brunswick, their incident management team has been above average as well. So we've been working a lot on behind the scenes, getting our incident management team ready in a multitude of facets, different ways. I'm going to do my best to kind of go down this list. I've only reduced it to 3 pages, so it's down from the 15. So for everyone's time and respect that. But as I go down, any questions you guys might have, and as always, outside of this, if you guys want to go into further depth, planning, or detail, I'm always available for y'all. Going down, one of the major things that we recently just did was our shelter operations and training. We've recently organized and helped facilitate the Disaster Faith Network, which is getting a bunch of different faith-based groups and organizations together to support the city of Brunswick and Glynn County and the communities to run different types of shelters, points of distributions, community hub information centers, and being a more cohesive team in the support of the community before, during, and after disasters. We've had a lot of support from the commission up here attending these meetings. We recently had a Red Cross shelter training where we had over 30 attendees kind of review the basics of how to set up, which is allowing us to have the staff ready and prepared in the event we have to open up a shelter this year again, to maintain that at the top level. And if we ever bring in Red Cross, we can easily hand that over and go back to our operations. A lot of our plans and EOC, or Emergency Operations Center, and Incident Management Team activation protocols have been getting updated to be in standard with FEMA and GEMA guidelines to ensure that we are all working from the same page, the same knowledge base. That way, if there's anything that comes down the pipe for reimbursements or activations or working with outside agencies, we can fit right in like they're part of our team day to day. So that's been a very good improvement. Our community engagement and preparedness campaigns, Why Prepare Now? We've been talking to a lot of the MPAs, the different church groups, civic groups. We're working with a lot of our community partners to come up with new community events to kind of spread the word about preparedness. We just did the Lowe's hurricane preparedness, which was done very recently, very quickly. I think we only had about 2 weeks. And for those that were able to come out, really appreciate you attending. We had a great turnout, a lot of vendors, a lot of the community people that came out and saw how well we all worked together, and very impressed by that. That's always a good improvement over the years. The more we educate, the more we can help people be ready to make those determinations and decisions. Some of the projects that are going on and some of the rewards that we've gotten from it. One, our Swiftwater Rescue Training Facility that's currently going through the appropriation cycle is in good standing right now. I believe it is on the Senate side. And the last update I got was the end of August. That'll be a point of discussion as one of the top projects moving forward. I noticed earlier there was a question about economic impacts, in which I can send out some of the information, part of the package that went up to DC, to show we did a economic impact study to show the benefit of this facility here regionally, and how it would, over course of a period, even at the first year, bring a benefit to the community at large, as not just competency training and the ability to handle the disasters that we're facing, but also put Brunswick in a standing that houses such a unique facility that people are going to be attracted to our community for our public safety training and our standards. We recently also got a $10,000 grant from Norfolk Southern for our first emergency call tower that we are currently in talks about locating in the downtown area to help prove our safety and overall visibility within the community. So we will be able to have a camera system attached, a warning speaker to push out emergency notifications, and an emergency call button for anyone that is able to or needs to have an issue or an emergency in the downtown area. It also has the ability to have a very bright light at nighttime, which is always something that we're working on, help increase visibility. And it's one of the many proven crime deterrents, statistically, having these call towers visible in our downtown area. So more to come about that, and that was thanks to the support and guidance from this committee to pursue that. Technology-based, we are pursuing new formats for technology to improve our weather reporting, our weather analysis and predictions, and different community alerts. So when there's any kind of, for example, the tragedies that have happened with the flash flooding and the heavy amounts of rain, we've got systems in place that we're going to be rolling out soon to the community to get notifications via email or text to be able to say, if you've got 2 inches of rain standing in the College Park area, prepare for some low-level flooding. New technology helps us get that word out much quicker and much more effectively. Our resiliency policies, we are working on updating those, looking at long-term reduction in the repetitive loss within our community. That's another avenue that we've been researching and developing that's going very well. Our community support has been going good as far as finding new resources. We've got a findhelp.org. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's a great feature that goes in frequently, about once a month, ensures that every known resource, say over the 300 nonprofits that we have here locally, is still active, still accessible, and has the most up-to-date contact information for people to utilize. In the last month, the #1 topic was food insecurity, that they were able to show that about 12,000 people in our area were using findhelp.org to find food sources in our community, which will help us determine where we need to go and find support and address the concerns within the community in an emergency standpoint. Our after action SOPs are improving. Our tabletops have also improved as well, where we recently just conducted a tabletop with GP Cellulose, the first one ever, where we were able to bring their whole team together to showcase how they would respond, how we would respond to them, and make plans for all the ethyl methyl bad stuff that is housed on their site, which frankly was very eye-opening because there are some chemicals out there that we were not aware of that can do some serious damage to our community. And now we're working to ensure that our hazmat team, which is the regional hazmat team, is cross-training with their team to ensure that we have the equipment, training, and ability to handle them, not just day to day. In case of a storm comes, we get a flooding, there's activation that needs to happen. Our people are trained on that site to be able to get out there and help support them in their emergency. Overall, we've had a lot of improvement. the biggest benefit has been the expansion with our EMA specialist, who has brought a lot of creativity and relationships to the forefront of what we can do within the community. Very excited to get her integrated into what we are capable of and where we're going in the future for EMA. So that, I try to rush it, try to go down. I'll breathe. You guys can ask any questions, and I'm here at your service.
Mr. Eden, thank you so much, man. Thank you for your involvement in the community, ensuring that we are up to date. A lot of events, a lot of going out and meeting with a lot of people. We see you everywhere, so we appreciate the professionalism that you have brought to the city in ensuring that we are not just ready for this storm season, but year round, because your emails don't stop.
Nope.
You don't just stop during storm season. You're all the way around. So I appreciate that leadership. Questions and comments from the commission?
I'd just like to say thank you for responding to the citizen
Mhm.
about their concerns about our hurricane preparedness. Very professional, done, and just thank you. And I hope the citizen is listening tonight and able to get some background, more knowledge about how we are prepared as a city to help the most vulnerable ones. So, but thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I just had a few things. Thank you for your correspondence with all your emails that you give on the weather updates. I try to post them on my commission, social media. The first question would be in regards to the call towers.
Mhm.
Would there be an opportunity for those to be in other areas other than downtown?
Yes, ma'am. I have currently been applying to another grant with T-Mobile for about the range of $50,000 to get 6 more additional call towers. We want to get into our highest foot traffic area, as well as some of our public safety outlets like Liberty Ship Park with the waterways out there. Some of those not so much overseen areas, but we want to have something out there in their presence because we're expecting a lot of usage out of that boat ramp. So we want to make sure that we cover all the areas that are potential disasters and give safety to people and make them feel more comfortable and available and accessible to our services.
Okay. On the community engagement campaign, like
Mhm.
what does that look like? Like,
A lot of me talking, a lot of just expressing a lot of what we do as EMA, the resources here as the community, and connecting people to get them ready for their plans, evacuation routes, where to go, understanding the storm, understanding the products from National Weather Service when we get them. So we don't go into the big fear that Weather Channel likes to do. We get the education level up so that way they can understand better and make a more responsible decision instead of a knee-jerk reaction. So bringing that comfortability level and why getting ready to today and having that conversation now is more important than last minute.
and then as far as the Disaster Faith Works Network, do you know if any of those congregations are having, well, the churches are having conversations with their congregations?
Mhm.
Um,
That's been one of the agreements is at a minimum, we're going to have them as community information hubs,
Okay.
which not only just the faith-based, but we're also talking to private industry like gas stations, Buc-ee's, Wawa, all around the community. But to be able to have the information we push out available in analog, so if all power goes out, people will know to go to their congregations to get the information that we're going to tell them to make safety decisions and what we're going to be doing. So they are having those discussions. The next meeting next month, we will be working on an exercise to start training them and really get their minds as a cohesive team to be able to be more prepared to handle the influx of people during emergencies.
Okay. And I did ask that because not everyone goes to church.
Mhm.
Not everyone is able to attend the meetings that you have. You mentioned Buc-ee's and Wawa. I'm a big advocate of the city of Brunswick, and none of those are in the city limits. So
Yep.
just trying to see as much possible ways to get the information to the people in the city limits, because what happens is in a storm, just like us that are informed, everyone panics, right?
Mhm.
And they're not looking for Alex emails or looking for information that was sent. They're calling everybody on the commission. And, you know, sometimes you'll have myself and the mayor, we're riding around the community trying to help people, and it just gets like very like overwhelming. Like during the storm years, it kind of, sometimes if you're on the outside looking in, it kind of makes it seem like there was no preparation. And we're in South Georgia, right? So hurricanes have been here for years. So like
ma'am.
a solid plan to kind of know, you know, what's going to be done this season.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've recently talked to the Housing Authority. We have a new community mission with them where we're going to be supplying 50 buckets of disaster kits to some of their elderly residents and utilizing those, the city community hubs that we have here to do the same thing. So while we also look at the bigger industry for the largest footprint in our city, we're going directly to the source of the people that, just like you said, might not be able to attend these things.
Mhm.
Bring the information to them so that way they can start sharing that out. And our first stop has been the faith-based networks.
Oh.
I think right now we have 124 registered churches in the city limits. And so we've been contacting and meeting with them as much as possible, bringing them to the table.
Because I would like to see, not necessarily the information. It's great when you attend the MPA meetings, but just other parts of the city to hold, other informational, meetings, just so, I mean, so you could just overload people with information, so nobody can say, oh, I didn't know, right?
Right.
So just, and I know they'll still say it, everyone doesn't read the paper, everyone's not on social media, but just so we can do it and have a presence so that they won't say that we didn't, because we did.
It is my mission to overload everyone I can with
So-
hurricane preparedness.
All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner, I'd like to just, you said everyone doesn't go to church, but we do have churches in the community. And I think it may be important to ask those churches to, I guess, have a network within the communities that they exist versus just the people going to the church. And I think
Right.
that's part of what we want to do, is not have them, it's not necessarily directed totally to their congregation, but the community in which they exist. So having them connect to that community more is kind of one of our goals.
I like that.
I'm gonna interject here. As an attendee of these meetings are, the title may be faith-based. And that is just an underlining premise to try to navigate and bring into uniform how we are looking at certain things as far as it goes with our safety, preparedness, resilience, all of those things. But at those meetings are not just churches. You have multiple nonprofit organizations that attend those meetings. So it's not just confined to churches. So I want that clearly understood. It's not just confined to churches. Anybody has the opportunity, if they so choose, to attend those meetings. And the other nonprofit organizations that are in attendance at those meetings have a range and gamut of services that they provide in the community. You have some of the unhoused organizations that's there. You have some of the just community services organizations. A young lady who has the transportation organization for unhoused, as well as those that are on the lower spectrum of being able to be transported or afford transportation opportunities. So it's not just faith-based organizations. It's all of the organizations who so choose to be a part of that network. And so it is trying to reach a wide range of opportunities for the entire community. Alec and his team they do a great job, a great job. And so I know that they are working on a lot of those things and trying to make sure that they broaden the spectrum even more so, to provide that information to the entirety of the community. I can attest to all of the faith-based organizations, churches. Every faith-based organization ain't necessarily a church. So we need to understand that too. But they do provide that information, and a lot of them are actually not just doing stuff within their congregation. These are churches that's actually coming out of their buildings. Every church don't come out their building, they just serve their congregates. But these churches are actually coming out of their buildings to actually be servants in the entirety of the community. So they are getting that information out. I know Alec and them, they are inviting any and everybody that wants to have an ear to hear and to receive this information. I had the opportunity to attend the Red Cross training on Saturday. It was all day, but it was awesome. And I asked him to also the messaging, the educational piece of it. I learned on Saturday that there's a difference between an evacuation center and a shelter. How many of y'all know that? It's awesome. That I mean, I was like, whoa, okay. So anyway, long story short, the evacuation center is totally different from a shelter.
Mhm.
An evacuation center is merely the response side of things. The shelter is on the recovery side of things. So a center, that's where you have to make sure that you're bringing your own items, your medicines, your blankets, your pillows, all of these different things, your radios, those things, you're bringing those things with you because they are not provided by a evacuation center. On the shelter side, most of these items are being provided to you. You're still going to have to bring your own items, but a shelter is just what it is. It's a shelter. It's not the point in which you evacuate to, but it may be the response into your, it may be the response or it is the response to your evacuating. So on the evacuation side, we're just trying to get you to safety. On the shelter side, we're trying to help you to recover. That's on the resilience side. We're trying to bring you back into the community. And if you can't return home, that shelter is available for you as a resource of recovery. But on the evacuation side, we're responding to the natural disaster so that we can get you out of harm's way. So that was so vital to me because a shelter was an evacuation center. An evacuation center was a shelter to me. All of them were synonymous, but to be able to get that messaging, and I asked them to make sure that they are educating us as a commission because we do get those 2 o'clock in the morning calls. Where do I go? How do I get there? Those things like that. So I think they are working diligently for the messaging to bring the educational piece and all of those components together. So I just want to tell you, thank you. If we can get all of our teams to working in harmony like this team is working, we be in pretty good shape, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions or comments from commission? A few quick questions. I will make them fast. Disaster Faith Networks, how can churches sign up?
I will share out the email in the survey, the Google form that they can sign up and then make their selections and then get on the schedule for the emails for the next meetings.
Okay, and I'm sure that's already been done through our city socials and
Mhm.
stuff like that, but the more that we can, if it's printing and dropping them off at each church or whatever it is, let's make sure the sign up is very clear. And so they will have a website to go to and fill out a form, and that'll put them in touch with you
Mhm.
or your
Yes, sir.
department. Okay, perfect. Talk to us a little bit. I want to take this moment. You talked about the DC appropriations process. You said it's on the Senate side. Just talk to us really quickly, 20, 30 seconds about where that is and what we can do to help in the process. We are not just people on the sideline hoping something happens. We have 2 senators who we can call and 98 other senators that we can call if you'd like their numbers. But how can we be a part of that fight along with us in the city?
Conversations are important. Letters of support in a big way, especially with industries that would be able to utilize and benefit this facility, go a long way in the conversations at the Appropriations Committee. Hear what we can do locally and how we can fight in the state of Georgia. We've already got a letter of support from the state of Georgia. Next, what we would need is the GEMA Training Center, Fire Academy, GIPSIT with police academies, all showing their support and potentially funding and supporting attending the classes that would be held here, or some way showing some buy-in at the state level beyond the letters of support to show the appropriation cycles that we're doing more to solidify what we'll need and how vital this piece of a technology will be for not just Brunswick, for our region and the state, and eventually helping the states around us. That's one of the big things where we have Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff. One's going for the full amount, the other's at 2.8. And a realistic view that I've given them is a complete breakdown of our budgets, our proposed budgets, how we would delineate out if we only got set amounts, where we could find more funding. And so that's the biggest thing,
Okay.
is getting them to fight and put in budgets that this project will happen. We see the investment and we want to throw that support and communication to DC.
Good deal. So we will make public the chairman of this committee, because you can contact that office. We already have the support of our 2 senators, but also finding statewide organizations or electeds to support that on the DC level. So we will get to work on that. Really, the lights that you mentioned, is there anything that we have to do on the environmental side to ensure it doesn't disrupt turtle nesting and things of that nature? Is that already built in, or how does that work?
Yeah, those are built in. Those are activated through the push button.
Okay.
And in the areas that they would not be anywhere that would hinder any of the turtles or environmental impacts.
Perfect. The next one I have is, you talked about a system of update, and updating citizens on emergency X, Y, and Z. I know we have also worked internally to prop up our 311 and that kind of mechanism as well. Are these two things integrated? Because what I don't want people to do is for us to be saying, sign up for 311 and sign up for this other thing. And so is all of that integrated, or are we talking about 2 separate systems, or how does that work?
We're working on integration because there is a system that is built into our weather stem that we purchased last year that does that, because that goes based off the actual weather data
Okay.
and trigger warnings for that would push out, which is a volunteer sign up. And then our 311, we would also push out the messaging, emergency messaging through that. So we're working on those systems to have a more condensed and easier one sign up. Everything goes out the best we can.
Because I just want, if we're going to push them to 311, I want to make sure that that's the singular form of information, if that's what we're going to choose. This one may be, I'm sure you may not be able to answer this question. It may be for City Attorney Corey or Chief White, actually. It deeply bothers me when I hear us going on to manufacturing facilities where we find chemicals that would be extremely dangerous to our community if a fire were to happen, or if, for God's reason, a leak or something to that were to happen. We've already lived through this one time with Panova. When we responded, our firemen fought valiantly for a very long time, having no idea what was on fire. What are the legal protections, first for our firemen, when they go into that situation? Because it's one thing if I heard if it was one-off and it's happened at Panova and we can say, hey, they closed down, we're on to the next chapter, what that's going to be. But when I hear you say you visited GP Cellulose and ran into that issue again, I think it's a deeper question that I'd like to ask to provide our firemen with what are the next steps when they run into that situation. If you find yourself fighting a fire, responding to an emergency situation for which they are supposed to have that information, we are supposed to have that information, it's supposed to be very clear, and that doesn't happen. So that is not a question that I'm sure we can answer tonight, but I would love to meet together to talk about what that response is, so our firemen and the firemen in this region can be equipped with that information.
I can give you a little bit of an answer to that.
Okay.
Not the legal protections, that necessarily, but what we do now since Panova. I also am the chairman for the local emergency planning committee. And since that involvement, what that requirement is every, what we call as a tier 2. So any ethyl methyl bad stuff at a certain quantity level has to be reported to the state and locally. And we house that information locally. And what we've done is multiple site visits to update the points of contact, to update their sheets of what hazardous material are out there, and then to create plans for the critical response, and then break those plans to our responders and get them updated and trained to make sure that when they do walk on that facility, they know where it's at. We also have technology on the new tablets that all the engines run that will show them exactly where those hazards are when they do go to the site, which we've been working on updating as well. So we have taken preventative measures to ensure that we don't repeat what happened at Panova. And we do have, through the LEPC and the tier 2 standing, a means to always be invited over to that site and have access to that site because they have a legal requirement to report what's on that site, and we house that.
Perfect. I like that we're thinking ahead in that space. I would ask, I haven't asked for your department. Um, uh, Prayers and thoughts, as always, go out to those who suffered the great loss in Texas. Um, that was an incredibly horrible situation. Um, but I think that situation also highlighted that sometimes we don't have a physical understanding of what a true emergency situation looks like. I think what I've heard for a long time, ever since I was a kid, is it's never necessarily the storm that kind of really worries us in the emergency space. What worries us is the flooding in the day or two after. Um, I would love some kind of graphic because we live below sea level. I would love for your team to work on some kind of graphic that truly show people if your home is kind of in a natural low-lying area, here's what 1 foot looks like, here's what 2 foot looks like, here's what 3 foot looks like. It allows them to really lock into their brains kind of what this looks like. God forbid we ever get hit with a storm, and they can understand the severity of that. So I would just ask that as an ask. My last question, and I'm done. We have had uh, we have had a ton of change on the federal level to NOAA. We've had a ton of change on the federal level for from investment in what I'd like to call at least the detection side of those things.
Mhm.
We know the detection side of storms is very important to our community. The earlier those things can be detected, the better for us. And I've been in those meetings during those times where NOAA is providing those consistent updates. Are we thinking about what we may have to do on a local level to fulfill anything that may be dropping off? Because if there is going to be a drop off on the federal level, I don't want to be relying on anybody to make sure we have what is in place for our city.
Yes, so the benefit of the relationships we've established, especially with our Jacksonville office, we're actually inviting up their chief meteorologist and the director up here in the next 2 weeks to have a little like update meeting to make sure that we continue to get the earliest possible information as we have in the past. Now, they're limited on bringing any meteorologists in the past until they get upstaffed again. But with that, our weather STEM has actually expanded its technology base to allow just for that. So we can actually detect earlier when onsets of conditions are coming through that are in line with National Weather Service and NOAA. So we can start making those decisions early on and not miss those gaps that could be detrimental.
And just so I can feel that I heard you correctly, you said that there's a meteorologist that would normally be here, but they're not going to be able to be here until they get upstaffed again.
During activation, yes.
During
So
activation.
in the past, when we would activate,
Got it.
our location would always get a meteorologist sent out to us to be in our EOC and
Yep.
help us. Because they've had retirement and turnover,
Mhm.
they can't send people out to the field like that.
Okay.
But we stay in weekly contact
Good
and
deal.
get updates with them. So
Okay.
the relationship's always there.
Okay. Perfect.
I want to kind of piggyback real quick, on the industry responsibility. At an MPA meeting the other night, a citizen, stopped me and was talking to me. I asked them to contact, the city clerk to get put on public comment. Did anyone contact you? If not, hopefully they will be. Okay, awesome. So she will be coming to speak next meeting regarding the wood pellet company,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, so they still have the same name?
Yep.
Okay, so Logitech. So someone will be coming in to speak about that because there's another concern regarding that and how that is being monitored. And are they staying in compliance? I gave her as much information as I could that our fire chief, because I remember when Chief Mobley was here, we had that fire and all of that stuff that happened. And so they're concerned because there are some things happening, and some emissions and stuff that's going on, over from that company. So I asked them to come and speak about it and to have the opportunity to be able to talk with you and hear your input, because if it's my understanding, if I'm remembering, we've got some type of oversight there now, or we can get in and review records or
Yes,
something of
ma'am.
that sort?
Since the fires at Logistec, the state fire marshal, we had them come down and they actually declared the port. In the past, the port was under the Port Authority and the fire marshal's office didn't have any jurisdiction there. The fire marshal actually took jurisdiction of the port. He assigned me as the fire marshal for the port, and Logistec has to report to us any change in temperatures, any changes that comes about. I don't really know what the complaint was, but I know that they've had some complaints on dust from semis and stuff on the roadways and the houses. But I haven't heard of anything, as far as fire concerns. We've addressed those, and they call us if there's an inkling of change in the temperature, they call us and let us know, and then we monitor it from there.
Okay.
And that seemed to have helped. We also limited the number of piles they could have and the height of the piles.
Okay.
So that spaces it out. So the fire, if they do have a heated area, they can get in there with the backhoes and move it out and get rid of it.
Okay. All right. Well, I know they've got some concern from over in that area, so I would ask if you would be here at the next meeting when she does the
Yes,
public
ma'am.
comment, so that you can answer those questions.
Yes, ma'am.
That's out of my forte, so,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Eaton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
With that, we will move on to items to consider for approval. Approval of July 2nd, 2025 regular scheduled meeting minutes. Any addendums or subtractions? Hearing none, we will open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to, I move that we approve the July 2nd, 2025 regular scheduled meeting minutes.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second? Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor, show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now move on to number 4, consider approval of the Glen Brunswick 911 service agreements for Southeast Georgia Health System Incorporated. Ms. Richardson.
Evening.
Good evening.
This is the last of the annual renewals. This is about $9,000 of revenue. And again, there is that interoperability between public safety personnel, the emergency room, and dispatch.
Wonderful. Any questions or comments from Ms. Richardson? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the Glen Brunswick 911 service agreement for Southeast Georgia Health Systems.
Hearing a first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing a first and a second, all those in favor, show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank
Thank you so much. With that, we will move on to number 5, consider approval of Community Development Block Grant FY 2025 budget and amended citizen participation plan. Ms. Carter.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Commissioners. For the public, I will introduce myself. My name is Dina Carter. I am the Community Development Block Grant Program Specialist for Neighborhood and Community Services. Tonight, I will be presenting the Community Development Block Grant Fiscal Year 2025 budget and the amended Citizens Participation Plan. I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and it will be split into 2 parts. The first part, the budget, and the second part, the amended Citizen Participation Plan. Next slide, please. So every year, the City of Brunswick receives a Community Development Block Grant entitlement in the amount of whatever HUD decides to allocate to us. They have a unique formula that they use that determines what we receive each year. The City of Brunswick is an entitlement city, so that means that we will receive the funds every year. We do not have to compete for the funds as long as we follow the guidelines specific to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
This year, we did receive our email notification that we will receive the total allocation of $384,717. It is slightly lower than what we expected, but we will move forward with those dollars. We partner with the Office of City Manager and Finance Department to discuss and approve the budget. We want to make sure that everyone is in agreement before we finalize those funds. Next slide, please. Here I have a breakdown of the budget. For our major and minor home repair program, we will allocate $192,782. For our public facilities, we will allocate $26,000. For our public services, we will allocate $57,707. For our removal of slum and blight, which is our demolition program, we will allocate $55,500. For our public housing, education, and outreach, we will allocate $2,000. And for our planning and administration, we will allocate $50,728, which gives us a total of $384,717. Each year, we do host a public hearing for the public so they can be informed of what we're going to do with the dollars. And it opens up the floor for them to ask any questions, as well as our public stakeholders. We had 2 hearings. One was March the 6th, and the second one was May 29th. Next slide, please. Now we will move into our projects and allocations. Next slide, please. For our planning and administration, this area will cover the administrative expenses, such as salaries, equipment, supplies, and other needs specific to the program. This amount is significantly lower than what is required by law. However, we make sure that it's suitable enough so that way we can maximize the rest of the dollars to go into the different areas. Next slide, please. Next is our minor major home repair program. This area will help us preserve and rehabilitate safe and healthy and affordable housing for our City of Brunswick residents. Last fiscal year, we completed about 11 homes. This year, we are aiming to complete at least 7 to 13 homes because we want to, again, maximize the dollars as much as we can. These improvements may include roof replacements, air conditioning systems, handicap accessible ramps, bathrooms, windows, plumbing, and also electrical things, because we want to make sure that their homes are sustainable and that they can stay in their homes. Next slide, please. Here on the screen, as you can see, this is one of the examples of one of the community members who came to the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services and applied for the grant. This is one of the seniors in our neighborhood. They requested roof replacement and also some interior repairs that were needed in the home, and we were able to go in and to fix those things for them, and they were highly satisfied. Next slide. Next is another photo of one of our seniors again, who applied for the program. Again, they needed some roof replacement and other interior issues. She was also excited to receive those services after about 20 years of not being able to afford the repairs in her home. Next slide, please. I would like to brief you about our CDBG Citizens Committee. Formerly, it was called the Advisory Board. However, an advisory board, of course, that would require bylaws if the board was meeting monthly or quarterly. But this committee only meets on a one-time basis in which they deliberate and they talk about all the nonprofit agencies that have applied for public services and public facilities. So that's why we changed the name to the committee. So every year we do have an open window for the nonprofit agencies in the community to apply for those funding. And then we invite the members to come and actually discuss all of those agencies to figure out which one of those agencies align with our community development block grant goals. And so, of course, we truly appreciate their time and dedication. This year, we had 7 members who joined us in our community. So we were excited to have them on our board or on our committee. Next slide, please. Next is our public services. The public services area will support the youth, homeless services, senior citizens, after school and summer programs. This year, we had 7 nonprofits who were awarded the funds, and I will read them as follows. A Better Glen, they were awarded $7,170. Brunswick Community Radio, they were awarded $4,670. Coastal Outreach Academies, they were awarded $11,170. First Jordan Grove Missionary Baptist Church, they were awarded $9,670. Foster Love Ministries, they were awarded $7,670. Robert S. Abbott Race Unity Institute, they were awarded $2,687. And Roosevelt Lawrence Community Youth Center, they were awarded $14,670. Next slide, please. This is these are the logos of all of the agencies who were awarded the funds, so you can get an idea of who applied for the funding and who will be receiving the funding. This year, we did have an influx of applicants, so we were excited about that. That let us know that the word is actually getting out within the community. And it is good to see new agencies applying for the funding and actually receiving the funding so they can implement their services within the community. Next slide, please. Next is our public facilities. This area will help us provide infrastructure improvements to nonprofit agencies who are administering services. This year, we awarded Roosevelt Harris Jr. Senior Center the public facilities amount of $26,000 to install vinyl siding to the exterior of the building to create a safe and more revitalized environment for the seniors. Next slide, please. This is an actual picture of the Roosevelt Harris Senior Center. This is the only adult day program center that we have for our seniors. It serves City of Brunswick and also Glenn County. So it is very important that we have this center so we can offer those services to our seniors, as they are the pillars of our community. So we want to make sure that they're safe. Next slide, please. Next, we have our spot demolition. This area will help us remove and prevent the spread of slum and blight in our neighborhoods. Last year, we completed 5 demolitions, 5 structural demolitions, and this year we are hoping to complete at least 4 to 6. Of course, we have a limited budget, but we will stretch those dollars and maximize it as much as we can. We work with the Department of Planning, Development and Codes, along with code enforcement, to make sure that we get those uninhabitable structures demolished as much as we can, using all those dollars and support that we can to demolish those structures. Next slide, please. Here I have a photo and an example of one of the structures that we we worked alongside with code enforcement to get that structure demolished. As you can see, there is prudent vegetation all around, and it clearly is unsafe. It's an eyesore to the community. And so what we want to do is make sure that we eliminate as much as that as possible with working with code enforcement, and also just kind of having more of an idea of what people want to do with those structures. Instead of just demolishing the structures and the vegetation growing up, we want to make sure that we have some type of plan in place for potential and future development of those properties. Next slide, please. Here is the actual finished project of that that previous slide. Here you see a clean slate, and this will help you visualize a better plan for development. Next slide. I did want to add that the fair housing outreach, it basically complements the planning and administration in the amount of $2,000. It's just basically an area that we provide education and outreach initiatives to the citizens of the city of Brunswick so that they can understand and know their rights as a resident. So what we try to do is host quarterly meetings for the MPAs to come and express their opinions. And we also meet with the directors in different departments of the city of Brunswick, so that way they can inform the MPA units so that they can take that information back to their community. So if they have any questions or comments, they can come back to us and ask. Any questions or comments for the 2025 budget?
I just want to start out by saying thank you. This is an incredible presentation. I heard my commissioner right here exclaiming, this is how we definitely want to see things. So just kudos to everything that you've worked on, you all's department, and the work that you put in to make it very clear, not only to ourselves, but also to the community, how these dollars are put to work and immediately put right back into the community. So I just want to say thank you for all of your work on your presentation and your work in this entire process. Questions or comments from the commission?
I had a quick question. How is the application process been centralized for the M&M process for the major minor home repairs? I know we were talking about that. I know you all were working hard on that and getting that process centralized so it won't be so scattered. How is that looking?
It is actually looking good. We are excited about our new process. Before we had a lengthy process in which we had a more so of a waiting list where people would apply and they would wait so long to get the services because there are other projects ahead of them. But now we have a pre-screening process in place in which we will offer them a chance to apply for the program, and we will immediately go out to screen their property to make sure that they're eligible. Once we screen with our contractors, and that will let us know immediately whether or not you're eligible, and we can go ahead and start work instead of having a lengthy waiting process.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay.
Mrs. Carter, they have to be owner occupied, right? Of the-
Yes, that is
okay.
correct. And they also have to live within the city of Brunswick.
And it's based on an income.
Yes, it is low to moderate income.
Lump sum.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your hard work. Can you pull back up the slide? Is she gone? It's okay. So I just wanted to, can you publicly explain, I mean, we know the answer, but what it means for the city of Brunswick to be an entitlement city?
Oh, yes. The city of Brunswick is an entitlement city. That means that we are entitled to a certain amount of dollars, and that means that we are entitled every year to receive those funds. So we don't have to compete like other cities do to figure out where our funding is going to come from. Once HUD issues that allocation, then that's the allocation that we will have to utilize and maximize for that fiscal year.
Okay. And I'm glad that Commissioner Harris did mention about the application process, because I looked over it. It can be a little extensive, but all people have to do literally is come to the office, and like you said, it's a wait list, right? Fill out the paperwork. And those are some major repairs that we can do, in my opinion, because those are costly. So just letting City of Brunswick residents that are owners of their home, it is income-based, know that there are programs to help you fix up some parts of your home. Because I just like to just continue to say it, because so often people make it seem like the city is not doing anything for their residents. And those are some, like I said, major roofs and bathrooms and ramps are very pricey. And
Yes.
to be able to have the opportunity to apply to get it done at no charge, that's a big deal.
Yes, that is correct. We are excited because we no longer have a waiting list in progress. We have zeroed that out. Right now, we're working on 4 homes, and once those 4 homes are done, we will be at a 0 waiting list. That will kind of catapult us forward to implementing that new pre-screening, so that we can get on these homes and get as many done as possible and as quick as possible.
That's amazing. So if people have, your parents, your grandparents, like I say, the paperwork is very extensive. Like, help your relatives fill out the paperwork, because it asks for like a lot of stuff, the deed to your home, bank account information, all that stuff. So, work together as a community. And I'm sure if people have issues with the application, you'll be willing to help them. I've told residents
Absolutely.
that they can call me, I can help them. It's just paperwork. It's a lot, but just helping them get
Absolutely.
through it.
Absolutely.
I'm just excited because having been sitting here for a while and to see us now at this point, David and Dina, it is just awesome. I remember the processes and the time and the effort that it took for us to be here, to have almost be at a 0 waiting list. I mean, that speaks volumes for itself within this process. And so I'm happy. I say thank you, thank you, thank you. This is something that been a long time coming.
Yes, my pleasure.
Mrs. Carter, what is the income threshold?
So the income threshold for a low to moderate income eligible applicant is a 1-person household of 41,000 or less.
And those are census-based numbers.
That is correct. That is based upon the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
We don't get to pick that number.
I just want to make sure everybody know we're not arbitrarily just pulling that out the air from somewhere.
That is correct.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm gonna let her finish her
Oh.
presentation.
Okay. The second portion of the presentation was to brief you about the amended Citizens Participation Plan. I don't think my slide is up. Do we have the presentation? So while we're waiting on that, I will brief you about what we did. So basically, the Citizens Participation Plan, it's just basically a plan that ensures residents have meaningful involvement in local decision makings regarding our community development block grant programs. And we want to make sure that they have a voice to explain or express whatever their concerns are. And we use that so that we could pour back into the community using the community development block grant dollars. So first, we actually, after we reviewed the plan, we saw that there were some updates that were needed. And the updates that we made were the information for the city officials. Basically, it was the city mayor, and we updated the address and telephone number, the department director and staff. We included our new location, which is the 503 Mansfield Street, building, and we submitted those updates to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. However, we did receive a correspondence that because we added the social media outlet, that's why it had to be an amended citizen participation plan. We just added social media outlets so that we could make it a little bit more broader to the public, so that way we can get that broader engagement with the social media outlets. So we just wanted to add that on there because it wasn't on there before. Any questions or comments?
No, just I'll echo my fellow commissioners. Thank you both for your hard work and your department. It shows all the energy and effort you guys put in, and I think our citizens recognize that as well. So continue the great hard work, and we look forward to continuing to support you from up here.
I couldn't echo what they said any better. I also love the fact that you said that that house had prudent vegetation. That's an interesting way to describe that. So next time I see a house, I will remember that wording. You just have prudent vegetation in front of your house that we need to take care of. A question maybe for Director Bravo or City Manager McDuffie or Ms. Carter, if you know, please tell me. What is the percentage decrease year over year of the last 4 years for CDBG funding in this space? The reason I want to know is, are we seeing a percentage decline? What has that percentage decline been? And also for us as a commission, we obviously want to continue to do this work. What does it mean for us to have a floor of what these dollars will be, where we need to understand that we need to start thinking about our own budget and how we pour into those things?
I think over the last couple of years, since I've been here, it was up.
Right.
And then it
Okay.
went,
Is this the first decrease?
This is
Yeah.
the first decrease, I'm gonna say, for the first 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost for this year, we lost, I think, about $25,000 or $30,000 compared
Mhm.
to other years.
Okay.
Um,
And was that loss seen from your partners who work in the space? Was that across communities in general, or was it us for some?
Yeah, it is across the state. Well, actually, it's a federal, because this is federally funded.
So the
yes.
federal, I just want to make sure we
Sure.
say it plainly. The federal government didn't necessarily change the formula, but they did change the allocation
That is correct.
to the
The formula doesn't change. It's been there since 1973 or 74, I believe,
Mhm.
when CDBG was created.
Mhm.
It's always the same. I think it's the amount of money they put into the programs
Got it.
that makes it, change
Got it.
year to
And
year.
can you give me that number again, around how many? You said 20 some odd thousand?
Between $20,000 to $30,000, yes.
Okay. And just in you all's estimation, do we see that continuing, or do we feel as if this is a one-time thing? I'm asking you to prognosticate about federal government.
I was hoping this year we were gonna get more than last year, which last
Okay.
year we got, I think, 412,000.
Okay.
And I was all happy. I said, maybe we're gonna get 430,000.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we got the letter 389. So you can't dispute these things because these are already set amounts,
Right.
again, from the federal government.
Okay.
Next year, maybe because the new administration, whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
something might trigger, and
Okay.
hopefully we get more money.
Okay.
That's my hope. Obviously, given the money we have, we always stretch it as much as we can.
Right.
And obviously, working with city manager, specifically the admin aspect of it, we always cut back on that area and give it back to the community.
Mhm.
So we always try to find ways to mitigate the amounts and make sure that it goes back into the community versus going into salaries or equipment and that sort of stuff.
I want to bring that up, and I'm glad you bring that up because it's what I'm trying to kind of dig to. Number one, like, there is a clear pattern that there are some federal funding mechanisms and federal programs that we have relied on for generations that are rapidly changing. I just want everybody to be prepared for those changes, and to the tune that we need to have greater conversations about future casting, the work that we're doing, and how that lays into our budget building year to year. I just want us all to be prepared for those conversations, because the work that we're doing, it can't stop. And so we, God bless us, we're at the whims of some things, but to the tune that we can come together as a community and do these things and make sure that we're continuing to do that work, I want to. Last question, how are you all kind of putting out the bid to contract, whether for the major minor home repair or kind of tear downs or any of that kind of stuff? The reason I ask is I just want to make sure we're always making those opportunities available to everyone
Yes.
who's available.
So what we do basically every new fiscal year, we go, we put out a bid for MMH and demo. We go through the newspaper, and also we put something in social media. We get some traffic, but they never get back with us.
Okay.
So right now we had 3 contractors, and we split the work evenly among all of them.
Okay.
To make sure that everybody gets work. And unfortunately, one of them didn't come through. At the end, he was kind of like shaky, so we have to let him go. So now we were only down to 2.
Okay.
Given
And-
that this is a new fiscal year, hopefully we'll get more phone calls or emails or even walk-in traffic in the office, getting the applications, because it's a lengthy process too. The application, we ask for
Got
all
it.
kinds of stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. Just on some broad basis, what are some of the qualifications that you need to have?
Well, first, you have to be bonded up to $1 million.
Okay.
That's for safety reasons and liability issues with the city. Otherwise, we are liable for any damages or things that happen to the property. Also, they have to be insured, workers' compensation. They have to have references, financial references. Also, they have to have contractors or contracts they had in the past, so we can get in touch with those people and say, how was the work? Was it to your satisfaction? And financial information, obviously bank accounts, and also
Gotcha.
business licenses. They have to be current with the state and with the county.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Those are all the questions I have. Any
You're very
questions or
welcome.
comments?
I just,
Say that one more time.
can you share the requirements for demolition? Like, if it's a person that wants something, do they have to have an income base, or who can be eligible to tap into the demolition funds?
Right now, basically, the program, the way we do it, we partner with code enforcement or development, which is John Hunter's department, and also with the land bank.
Okay.
Those are our land bank is our new partner, and basically the way we do it with the land bank is they give us the properties, we clean the properties, and whoever comes to us for that with that reference, then we have to make sure that there's an intention with the property. It's not just, hey, I get tickets left and right from code enforcement. I go to neighborhood and community services, we do the demo, and now I'm off the hook. It doesn't work that way anymore. We changed that as well. Meaning, if you come to us, part of the application process is we're going to ask you, what is the plan with this property? Do you have intentions to develop anything? Do you have intentions to sell the property? Do you have intentions to give it to the city? Before we didn't ask that. Now we're asking those questions, given the fact that, I get 15 tickets, I go to neighboring community services, I get the demo for free. Well, we put a lien on it, obviously, but I don't get any more tickets from code enforcement. Well, that's not the issue anymore. The issue now is we can do 7, 10 demolitions, but we don't want to have those empty lots. We want something in there. We want developers to come in and say, hey, you know what? I saw X, Y, and Z block. There's about 6 lots. Who owns these lots? They're nice and clean. So that's the intention that we have now. As far as qualifying for the program, the qualifications are very minimal. All we need to make sure that you own the property, and that it's a human hazard. And there is other minor details, obviously, that go along with it, but that's mainly, you have to reside in the city as well. I mean, the property, you have to be the property owner mainly.
Is it only, could it be one owner, or could it be multiple owners, or have to be one owner?
It could be multiple owners, but it has to be a legal agreement between the parties. We do get a lot of the siblings, brothers and sisters that they don't live in the States. And there's quite a few of them that they never came back because they couldn't agree on something. We provide the guidance to them and we explain how the process works, but if they don't agree among themselves, there's nothing else we can do about that. So
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
So you're trying to do it now with intention and purpose. instead of just arbitrary.
That is correct. We took what we're doing is basically taking the program to the next level, not only in the demo aspect, but also in the MMH aspect, which is the minor home repair program. In the past, like she was saying, we had a lengthy waiting list, and it was kind of disappointing for somebody to submit the application, fill out all the paperwork, submit all the paperwork, then we get to your house, and it's $150,000 worth of repairs. Obviously, we're gonna say you don't qualify, but after 9 months, you waiting for that answer, that's unacceptable. So what we did is we did the pre-screening, we set up the time, the date with the contractor, with one of us, and the property owner. We look at the house and we can assess that actually the same day, if possible. And we can tell you the next day if you qualify or not.
That is amazing. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, looking at her, the presentation, there are actually two parts. This is a two-part vote. I'm going to recuse myself on, there are two separate votes. One is for the budget and one is for the amendment citizen, participation plan. So I'm going to recuse myself from the budget because I did serve on that committee and other affiliations.
Yes, ma'am. So with that, we will bring it forward to accept a motion to approve the Community Development Block Grant FY 2025 budget. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we consider approval of the Community Development Block Grant FY 2025 budget.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Now, we will look for a motion to approve the amended citizen participation plan. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city commission vote the adoption of the amended citizen participation plan.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by a sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. With that, we'll move on to number 6, consider approval of contract with Tree Works LLC for a project specified as Georgia Forestry Commission Urban and Community Forestry Program Funding, part-time arborist, Mr. Charnock.
Well, hello and good evening to everyone, Mayor and Commissioners. Bringing before you a chance to get us a part-time arborist for the city of Brunswick through the Georgia Forestry Commission plan. You'd previously approved us to go out and submit for that. So now we have run the RFP and we are asking for approval for hiring Tree Works Limited as the part-time arborist for the city of Brunswick. The position will be paid through the Georgia Forestry Commission grant, and that will reimburse the city $40,000 per year up to 3 years. The funding is going to give the city access to a certified arborist who can provide expertise and assistance with property management of city trees. We don't have that expert on staff. A little bit of history. The city of Brunswick does have a significant tree population consisting of many varieties of trees, which contribute to our beauty and atmosphere in our city. There's a lot of good environmental things that trees do with shade, soaking up excess storm water, and different things. So we want to keep the trees in a good way. The city currently must wait on an arborist who comes out of Augusta. And since the new fiscal year, I have not been able to get him down here. So this is something we definitely need. The other option was to hire a local arborist who charges us pretty good fees by the hour. As far as facts and issues, proper care and maintenance of the city's trees and tree canopy is critical for their continued well-being. And significant resources are invested through the crews we have that do work on the trees and the different tasks and things that we do day to day. City does have staff, personnel, as well as volunteer positions such as our tree board members, and we have several of those here. And we appreciate the help that they are. We did run an RFP for a certified arborist to fulfill this position. And the deadline was June 19th. And at the closing of the RFP, their city received one application from Tree Works Limited. It did meet the RFP guidelines. Tree Works LLC is a company with local roots, but it has offices and it reaches from the northeast to the southeast part of the United States. And they've been in business for 41 years. They do a lot of local work with Sea Island Company, I think is originally how they got here. As far as budget information, the agreement will provide $120,000 to be used over a 3-year period through December 31st of 2027. The Tree Works proposal is priced in the first year at $69.70 per hour, and it goes to $71.80 in the second year and $73.95 in the third year of the agreement. The proposal is for a minimum of 10 hours per week for 52 weeks each year, and the city would have the option of requesting extra hours on top of that. It would be at our expense. The $40,000 budget will be paid for through the grant, and the fiscal year for this grant is January through February each year, with the current year ending December 31st of 2025. And there is no local match requirement for the grant. So you obviously have the options of approving or not approving Tree Works to be the arborist, and we are requesting that Mayor be authorized to sign an agreement with Tree Works LLC for $120,000 billed at the hourly rate for work performed. Our city attorney is still working on the completion of the contract, but it will meet the guidelines that I presented. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. Tree Works also has a representative here if you would like to ask them anything.
Thank you. We know we've been working on this for quite a while. Just want to say thank you to those who have served on the tree board, who has shepherded this process to ensure that we've gotten here. It just so happens that we were at an MPA this week and they were asking about tree cover. And we could give them this answer because of the work of you, Mr. Charnock, as well as our board. So thank you, guys. Questions or comments for Mr. Charnock? Here are none. We'll open it for a motion.
I do have one before
Oh,
I make a
sorry.
motion, if you don't mind. Rick, can you tell me a little bit about how your department's going to utilize this survey in terms of, where are the priorities? Is there a schedule? Okay, we got to take a look at our parks and squares first, and just kind of go through what your kind of vision is.
Well, part of the RFP is they have a software that they can put all the information into, and they're going to be charged with developing a tree inventory for the city of Brunswick, which we have desperately needed for a long time. And they will also do tree inspections. So if we have someone complaining now, I will go out and look at them. I'm not certified, though I've done it for a long time. I have a lot of knowledge, but they will be able to give us written reports if we need that, and also give us justification for either preserving or not preserving a tree if that's what needs to be done. So we appreciate that fact. In addition to that, because they are such a large company, they have other resources not included in the grant. So if our equipment is not sufficient to handle that, we've got another outside source that we can go to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. With that, Mr. Mayor, if you're ready for a motion.
Yes, sir.
One moment.
Oh,
So we, Public Works, take down the tree.
Typically, yes, ma'am. And unless there are power lines involved where Georgia Power has to be involved. And occasionally we do not have enough equipment or a large enough crane. That's happened in the past, but typically we probably 95% we take down ourselves.
I'm trying to get a visual, Mr. Tony. Tell me what size tree that we are capable of
Anything that we can reach with our equipment, but sometimes there's occasions with very tall trees that maybe reach out over a house and our boom or our equipment. I don't have a specific number I could give you, but occasionally we can't reach out and get that. It's happened during some or after some of the storms in the past, some of the trees that have leaned or whatever and gone over a property.
I was thinking about more or less diameter. I
Oh,
guess.
diameter, no, diameter's not an issue. Diameter's not, we can cut down anything that's in the city.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, if I could have a point of privilege, please. Okay, as we're speaking about arborists and trees, Mr. Sharnock and Ms. Wright back there, the property on Stonewall Street, I just wanted to let you know that her son is here tonight. So if you all can, he's sitting behind you. Yes, if you all
That
can
is
just
one
talk
to
him.
be evaluated. I have a list right now, and because, like I say, I couldn't get the Augusta guy down here right now because of funding being cut back. So this is going to give us a chance as soon as the contract's signed to go ahead and hop on some of these.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
May I, before a motion is made, there are some revisions that need to be made to the contract before it's finalized. However, a motion can be made to approve the selection of the tree contractor, yes, subject to the revisions to the final contract. And the contract you have before you will be substantially similar to the one that is signed. There's just some minor alterations.
I like the pun that Mr. Charnock used. I don't know if he used it, but as he was talking about trees, he said local roots. Thought that was pretty good.
I like it. I like it. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to authorize you to sign the agreement with TrueWorks LLC for $120,000 billed at the hourly rate for work performed based on the necessary revisions by city attorney to the contract.
Hearing first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing first and a second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Charnock. And thank you again to the board, and thank you for Tree Works for being here with us this evening as well. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to number 7, consider approval of financial reports as of May 31st, 2025. Director Perry.
Greetings, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
Okay, monthly finance report. Finance report as of May 31st. We'll start off with our general fund. General fund, revenues for year to date, we brought in about 18,388,364. Our expenditures are running about 19,947,146. Year to date, we're down in revenues to the expenditures, 1,558,791. The month of May, we did have a lot of expenses, and even our insurance that we paid went up prior to last year. So I know those numbers typically do. I think as I looked at the previous year's budget, insurance does go up around that time. I think we even had a vehicle acquisition, I believe. So that kind of explains why we're a little up, and I do expect it to flatten out a little bit more in the month of June. Okay. Our cash ledger balance is 5,586,635 with 941,393 in Prime South and 4,645,241 in Georgia Fund 1. Now, for our sales tax is up this year. For the month of May, we year to date we're at about 9,288,650 compared to last year at 8,917,161. So this year we're up 4.17%. Which is a net increase of 371,000 compared to last year this time. Next page, that'll be our SPLOST 22. Now, for SPLOST 22, the city expended 7,674,473 between receipts and interest earned and grant reimbursement, transferring and DOT. Total receipts was 17,393,626. Now, if you was to subtract that 17,393,626 from the 7,674,000 of the city expended, that would typically give a cash ledger of about 9.7 million. Due to some changes in the ledger throughout the month, we typically run about 1.7% of change within that. So you'll see the difference between the 9.7 and 9.8 million in cash ledger. And that's the industry standard. As long as we less within about 2%, I can see that we can maintain that. Thanks for y'all giving us extra staff members for be able to hire. I do foresee that we'll probably get our numbers down a little bit more and probably bring that 2% down to less than probably 1%. And that is one of the differences I want to at least address to the commission. Next page. SPLOST 6. SPLOST 6 didn't have any changes from last month. I think we only had about maybe no more than $10 in interest compared. And that was probably always be every month because we average about $8 to $9 of interest every month in SPLOST 6. So our next page is our Norwood Street Commons Fund. Norwood Street Commons Fund, since inception, total amount of revenues is $559,403 with a net expenditures of $177,308. So we're looking at a net of $382,095, with a cash ledger balance is $382,095. Roosevelt Harris Multipurpose Center. Year to date, we're looking at total inflows of $379,005 to our expenditures of $369,573. Our cash ledger balance as of May 31st is $145,430. ARPA fund, there wasn't too much change in ARPA fund. Total funds dispersed as of May 31st is $4,543,180, with a total cash ledger balance of $5,592,968. We do expect some more ARPA funds to be expensed probably the month of June, so you'll probably see a disbursement next month. I have an expectation for that to change. Sanitation. Our sanitation billing, total sanitation revenue was $1,362,586 with a total expense of $1,987,636. Operating income loss of $624,750. The total ledger balance in that account is $1,136,829. Total waste disposal. Year-to-date waste disposal, we're looking at trash pickup of $1,476,038. Our street sweeping is about $114,907. So year-to-date, we're looking at a total waste disposal collection of $1,585,545. Stormwater utility fees. Now, for our stormwater utility fees, we had total inflows of $1,208,319, with a total outflows of $1,223,581. Total ledger balance for that account is $781,593. R. Lawrence Center. Now, in the R. Lawrence Center, I know we had discussed a few items in there, so I'll address some of those. But our total transactions for the month is $14,879.36. Now, pretty much a majority of transactions, salaries and salaries, which is $14,114.42. As I did some deep research, I found out, I think within the second quarter of our Lawrence Center, they did hire a CNA as I talked with the director. So CNA would account for a full FTE, which is a full-time equivalent. So that probably was that's what I'm looking at is what they hired the CNA at. So that 45,000 will represent at least some of the payroll of that CNA that was hired within the second quarter of this year. And I confirmed that with Director Bravo. So that is a little, I know that question came up and I wanted to do at least a little research on that and I talked to the director about that. So, but yeah, and that CNA for fiscal year 26, that has been covered in this budget that y'all approve. So you will see that CNA covered in there. So we shouldn't have that much of a difference in over budget for this year, fiscal year 26. And let's see. In total year-to-date transactions is 175,942.27. And I know I looked at the telephone. Telephone wasn't budgeted, and I see that we had 4,500 in telephone expenses. And I did some research on that just to figure out what was going on as far as telephone's concerned. We did get some new telephone lines, and I think over the years, telephone expenses in the senior center has always been kind of divided between departments. This year for fiscal year 26, all telephone will go to IT now, so you wouldn't even see that there no more. But I do know in the past they've always kind of spread that out. And that is what some of the deep research I had to do to see what was the culture that we've kind of done over the years as far as how we spread out expenses. And sometimes some of the departments have to exhaust some of the expenses in order to flatten the budget. So I kind of understood that. So some things on the sheet I was looking at, I wanted to do a deep dive just to get a full understanding just before you ask the questions. And these are some of the things I uncovered. So I just want to at least make sure as a notator, I want to let you know that. Other than that, that concludes the reading of this finance report.
Questions or comments for Director Perry?
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of questions for Mr. Perry.
Yes.
And it just kind of hit me. First of all, this report, this is May the 31st. Actually, what date? Let me see, I'm gonna ask it. No, I'm just gonna ask it like this.
Yeah.
This reflects technically all of April of 2025.
All of May.
So you have all your journal entries for May 2025?
All
May-
May entries are completed. I wouldn't say 100% all of the journal entries are completed.
So when you did this report,
Yeah, it's
May-
it's a snapshot of that day there.
it was just a snapshot, but not completed.
Well, a snapshot of the finance report is a completed report because it's as of what happened that day. I think just need to understand, once we're done with the finance report, on that day there at 5 o'clock, that's it. Now,
Okay.
whatever happened at 5:01, 5:02, 'cause there's always transactions going on, those things can change, but
Okay,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a reconciliation. So, when you're looking at your front page it says revenues. And we talking about when you said 10.92% under budget. So we had almost 11% less than the amount of money that we expected to come in? The revenues?
Compared to that number, yes, ma'am. That is exactly what it's for.
And then, the expenses went up. We basically have, for that particular month, 4.08%. We almost, what was budgeted out for expenses.
Correct.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, I looked at most good bit of the expenses compared to last year. Insurance did jump up about 15 to 20%, I believe. I think government took our insurance up. And there were several other expenses I am doing some research on because when you're doing the budget, some things you have to kind of like, of course, guesstimate for the most part. So there were some major increases in some of those areas, which was, I know, the insurance. Government was pretty much almost $500,000. And that's the city insurance, and we got y'all to approve.
So- Okay,
just to
that's
add
fine,
to that,
that's fine.
yes.
So really, on May the 31st at 5 o'clock, all your journal entries was posted in for May. And this is and what we have left, but you have cash ledger balance
Correct.
as of May the 31st. What was the balance in the checking account on May 31st? At the end
Oh,
of
the
May?
checking account, I really wouldn't be able to give you a total amount because the checking account is not part of the finance report. But give me a call tomorrow. I can give you the balance
It
of
used to be part of the finance report, and I think we discussed in the audit that you were gonna kind of like put two.
No, the checking account has never been part of this report. You can go back 5, 7 years.
No.
You've only ledgered the balance. There's only been a balance of the ledger. There's never been a checking account for this report.
So when you put Prime South
Yeah.
right there, that's not a checking account?
No, Prime South is in the ledger. If you go in our ledger, we have to account for Prime South because when we get a bank statement, of course, we have a bank statement when we're reconciling. So a bank statement is when we're reconciling, then we have a ledger. Our ledger must match the statement. So there will be a Prime South ledger as a bank statement. There will be a Georgia Phone 1 statement as in the ledger. The ledger is what we use in order to be able to reconcile our accounts to the bank statement. So you get a snapshot of the ledger. Now, throughout a 30-day period, my staff, I'm sure, doing hundreds of transactions, that does change. But about 5 o'clock, whatever is in that ledger that day is what you're going to get. And pretty much is what you get now. But the bank statement is never on this report. Now, in the future, as we do our retreats and you make recommendations of how you want the report to look, I probably can include a bank statement on this report, as we talked about in the audit. But that is something I'll sit with the city manager, address with, and talk with the council and see how would you like the reports look in the future. When we get a new system is going to be a little different. And the system I want to be a report that's more government reporting that will show your assets and your depreciations and things. But as we get to that point, thanks for the new staff you hired. We'll get there, but it's going to take time.
So have y'all hired the new staff yet?
No, I'm just waiting to meet with the city manager in order to see what she's most comfortable with as far as who she would like to hire.
And y'all hired you have two candidates?
Yeah, we've been approved for 2.
Approve of two. But
Yeah, we've
have
been
you-
approved for 2.
Okay, so you haven't found anyone yet? Okay.
Not as of yet.
So with that being said, well, this says as of April the 30th for Splash 22. So really, as of April the 30th,
Actually, that's just a typo. That really supposed
that's
to be
like,
5/30.
matter of fact, it says April 30, 2024.
Right, it should be 5/30/31.
Okay, so actually, because it's $169,796.38
Mhm.
difference, that means that you have not finished doing journal entries. You
No,
didn't-
that really doesn't mean that, because that ledger wouldn't always be 100% of the total amount of the balance. And 169 compared to the 9.8 million, that's less than 2% of the difference. Less than 2% is kind of standard in the ledger, because you can never guess what's going to always be 100% in the ledger. So 169 compared to the 9.8, 169,000, that's 1.709% of the ledger. That's the difference. 1.09% is pretty much industry standard of the difference you're going to have compared to the ledger. As we get closer to certain months, and as I get more staff and we knock down more of the entries in a perfect well, you'll see it go down. But the ledger is never going to be exactly the way a statement is, because once that statement is done, I still got transactions going. So I mean,
regardless, and I'm not going to hop on that, regardless how many transactions are done, it's called reconciliation. You know, hey, I have this outstanding amount here, and that's that. So, I mean, to keep saying, regardless of whatever the 2%, this is not, it's always going to be the difference. That's unacceptable. I mean, there are ways to define and show the differences in the explanation. So to say all that, and we get our reports 45 days. And actually, if I go based on what you have written here from April, add more 30, that's what, 75 days behind? That's unacceptable. Actually, it's a year, because we'll say typo as the 24. So that's unacceptable. We need to strive for perfection. We need to strive, and I understand you do not have the staff and what you inherit. I do understand that. Okay, I really do. But it's going on a year, and these comments about these finances been talked about before you got here. Actually, I started in June and July of last year, really talking about this. And then you came on in August, and then we still you're getting better. You're getting better. I must say, Splash 6, we spent out additional money to make sure that we have things down to the penny, and you could say the few interest, excellent. But it took too long, and it shouldn't take that long when we're dealing with these finances. This is our foundation. This makes us operate, and this is not about you, Mr. Perry. Please don't take this personal, but it's just enough is enough. It's getting old. For me, anyway, I don't know about my other colleagues, but for me, as I come into this arena, and I come in expecting us as a city to be operating on a level of professionalism, a level of accountability, to show to our constituents, our citizens, how we are utilizing their money and how we could count for the dollars. So I'm just in my own, this is how I'm feeling. I've been feeling like this for a while. So it's just right now, it's just bubbling over a little more tonight, okay? But thank you. I don't have any more questions. Continue to work hard like you have been doing, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
Yes. Let's move.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the financial statements as presented as of May 31st, 2025.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor, show by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, the same.
One vote against.
It is 4-1, the motion passes. We will
Thank you.
now, thank you, Director.
I want to say this before Brian comes. For all in the room, for all that are looking, that are watching, when you're dealing with the manner of professionalism, we have to understand what level of professionalism are you addressing. Mr. Perry has to have the ability to be able to do all he needs to do. He has to have the staffing, he has to have that support mechanism. So to an extent, I agree with Commissioner Atkinson Williams. It is not your performance. It is the performance of what happened before you came into this office. It always appears at this juncture of the meetings that there is some beating down on you, Mr. Perry. But we understand you walked into a position that you inherited some things that still have not been resolved, that need to be resolved. And so that is some frustration at a different level. Then you have the ability to move within that spectrum or within that framework. And so those are the things. It is not because there has not been professionalism exhibited or executed. It's some other stuff that needs to be thoroughly addressed. And we as a commission, as an entirety, have a concern about certain things financially that we're moving on. We move beyond just these numbers and having conversations and looking at what needs to be looked at. So I want to make sure that everybody in this room and anybody that's watching by Facebook or by Zoom have an understanding that there is not recklessness being exhibited by this commission or have been or had been or has been exhibited by any prior administration. These are things that need to be straightened out. There are other circumstances that took place that everyone in here is not privy to. So when we are addressing these matters, we need to make sure that we fully address the entirety of the underlying situations that have contributed to these concerns. I've said what I want to say. I'm going to leave it there, and whomever needs to pick it up, need to pick it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And
Thank you,
just
Director.
for anything, the commissioner is always welcome to come by my office or have independent meetings with me. I would love to share anything you needed if you wanted to see anything more.
Appreciate it. City Attorney Corey, we're going to ask you to move as fast as possible, or none of us are going to eat.
A jam-packed
Um,
executive too, so.
With that, we'll move to number 8, something we've all heard a little bit about, especially during the legislative session. Consider approval of resolution number 2025-10, authorizing the city's participation in an amicus brief in the Chang v. City of Milton appeal pending before the Georgia Supreme Court.
And I will try to be brief on this particular issue because I did try to give a long rundown in December of last year regarding this case. I think everybody's generally aware of the case. It's a jury verdict of $35 million against a municipality in the state of Georgia. It has been appealed to this Court of Appeals, where it was then the judgment has been affirmed, but the partner municipalities then applied for cert to the Supreme Court. In December 2024, those partner municipalities, which included the city of Brunswick, there was a request by the attorneys representing and seeking cert. Cert's not automatic. You can't just get heard by the Supreme Court if you want that. This commission did approve a resolution in December 2024 that was submitted. Cert has been granted by the Supreme Court. It was done in June of this year. They've identified 3 major questions. They're included in the resolution if you want to take a look at them, but it primarily just deals with this planter, where it was placed in relation to a city-owned right-of-way, and that was ultimately the cause of fatality in a single-car accident. Now that we've been granted cert, we have the opportunity to brief these issues before the Georgia Supreme Court hears the case. So the same partner municipalities and the lawyers representing those have reached out to the same and more municipalities in the state to submit second resolutions in support of an amicus brief on behalf of. So Milton is obviously trying to defend this as the city itself that the judgment is against. We are part of the group that is putting in an amicus brief, a brief in support, and setting forth why if the Supreme Court does not find in favor of the municipality and the sovereign immunity, how this could impact the remaining municipalities in the state of Georgia. So that is what this is. It's a second resolution. I would ask that we are joining with many people, and I do think this is an incredibly important case to the city of Brunswick.
Any questions or comments? Here none, we'll open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-10, authorizing the city to participate in the amicus brief in the Chang versus City of Milton appeal pending before the Supreme Court.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. With that, we will move on to the discussion portion for a proposed amendment to the City of Brunswick Animal Control Ordinance.
Yes, and I did give a brief rundown on one of the memos I sent out to the commission. And some of the city staff, Commissioner Saby as well, have met with the county. There is likely to be a larger animal control ordinance rewrite. The cities and the county's animal control ordinances, because they are animal control is provided under the lost agreement by the county within the city. We have extremely similar animal control ordinances as written now. So I do expect that full sort of comprehensive rewrite, the county will be doing one. We will be mirroring to, again, keep uniformity between the two jurisdictions as animal control services are being provided. However, in the interim and through this commission direction to me, there has been obviously issues with animals running at large. At current, our definition in our code of ordinances allows for essentially two different scenarios where an animal may not be considered running at large. One, if it is a leashed animal, and number two, and I think this is where a subjective thing comes in, and that causes some problems when we're seeking to enforce the ordinance or prosecute people for animals running at large. There was a second component to that definition that stated, or in the control, the verbal control, in the vicinity of the owner and obedient to that person's commands. So as you might imagine, if there's an instance where there's an animal called in as running at large, the animal control officer is not often able to immediately present to that incident and see the actual animal running at large. They're often having to present. They still issue citations, but relying on witness testimony. But when they arrive, the animal is either secured or it is quote unquote obedient and in the verbal command of an owner. We're going to remove that component because I do think it provides the ability to kind of say, well, I was nearby and I was yelling for them to come. It just gets very convoluted as we seek to take these citations through municipal court. So this is a rather simplistic amendment tonight, just for discussion only. It removes the idea that they could argue that, well, he was nearby the animal, whether it's a cat or a dog, was nearby and it was listening to my commands. But that is where we're seeing these incidences occur. If it's not just general running at large, like they've escaped from the fence and they're running loose, we see a lot of citations come forth where there are parties all involved and there is a bad situation that has taken place. So that's being removed. New language is being added in that they would be, if they are not on a leash and in the direct control of the owner or person walking the cat or the dog or the cat, meaning they are on a leash and the person is literally holding the leash. That is when you're not going to be cited for running at large. And it's an interesting argument that there's some interesting arguments made in municipal court that we're trying to sort of close that door on.
I know there's a broader rewrite, and I guess in that broader rewrite, we will talk about, what those fines will be and making sure that those fines, I guess, match up to.
Well, on that note, we have increased, working with animal control and municipal court, we have increased our bond amounts. There were rather low. They were $150 for a first offense. We've increased that to $500, and we've talked with the judges of municipal court have also looked to see about tiering it when we have recidivists, repeat offenders, something along those lines. So yeah, we're allowed to fine up to $1,000. Majority of the time, we see that three-tiered, 500, 750, 1,000. I think that's what we're going to look to do in these circumstances.
That's perfect. Questions or comments?
I will, if you don't mind, Mayor, make a couple comments. I will say that, as, city attorney did mention, myself, the attorney, city manager, our police chief, I'm trying to think who else was in the room, met with, the county officials, elected officials, the county police chief, as well as animal control.
And their legal was also.
Their legal was
Got it.
also there. And I think we were pretty clear from a city perspective that we have not felt like we have received adequate service from an animal control perspective. We did talk through some of those issues and have some plans in place. We're waiting for a couple of their responses. I don't think it's going to be a simple solution. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with staffing and patrol times and things like that. But I do think it's something that we're going to continue to put our foot down on and you know, expect some better service for our citizens. The only question I have on the ordinance revision is there anywhere in the ordinance that specifically references or gives an exception to dog parks? So obviously we have dog parks in our community. We support dog parks. I didn't in my initial review of this see any of that language. So I would ask you to kind of maybe explore that
Yep.
because there's a lot of situations obviously where you're tossing a ball for your dog and you're at the park or you're in a dog, you know, if it's in a designated area, in my perspective, I feel like that's probably not running loose. So I'd ask for you to maybe look at that.
We will.
too.
Are all of our dog parks, in my head, I just know one. Are they all fenced in? I just know one on Howard Coffin.
Yes.
Yes.
They all
I believe the only public dog park is Howard Coffin in the city of Rome.
that we have, so it's fenced in.
Yep.
So being in there loose, that's a different story, but.
Yeah, we could clarify that too as well, though. I mean, I do think that even if they were loose in there,
But then again, you have a person, dog could be loose in there and another dog in there. And I'm just talking about it's dogs. Cats may not do this, but dogs would definitely. They're sorry attacking or running loose to harm another individual.
Maybe it's just signage at the dog park potentially or something like that.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's just a conversation. We don't need to talk in detail about it now, but
yeah,
something to think about.
because there is reference in there that if an incident occurred at a dog park where both dogs were unleashed, not on a leash, not in the control of the owner, but fit in the fenced in area. I mean, there's another component to the animal control ordinance where there could be citations for aggressive, a vicious dog, dangerous dog that could be cited in that manner.
Additional questions or comments? Really quick, does this speak at all to, and is there additional language out there as far as if I'm walking by property and a dog is loose on their property and is there anything that we could shore that up? Does that still fall under, well, that's someone's property, voice control then is fine? Or is it that they can't be loose at all?
It's currently defined as confined within the limits of the owner's property. So we could include additional language there that meaning whether it be secured in the interior of the owner's property or in a fenced-in area.
And maybe that's a question for the bigger rewrite, so we don't have to jump into it tonight, but I think that's something Mayor Pro Tem Roll has asked about, and maybe we could just do a deeper dive on that as we keep going. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll open it for a motion.
No, this is just point of.
Oh, just discussion?
Just discussion, sorry.
Okay, all right. With that, we'll move on to number 11.
I think just real quick, because I don't know if there's direction to advertise, it might be that we bring it back. Are y'all okay with advertising it now? I am going to make some changes based on some of the comments tonight from the commission. And I can get those additional changes to city clerk to advertise publicly with the changes I'm going to make tonight. And then that would allow us to bring back for approval at the next commission meeting, if that makes sense.
I'm okay with that timeline. Is everybody okay? Good deal.
Mayor, we also have some information where we had put together an action plan from the meeting that we had with the county, as well as the meetings that we've had with the city. Joyce Depp is our designated person, but she had to go out of town unexpectedly. So John is going to make her presentation.
I appreciate this.
Uh, Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Just to be brief, we have worked on a number of initiatives to help with some of our internal processes, our training, and looking at some communication and community information-related initiatives. One of the first things we identified is that how exactly BPD and code enforcement can help with these issues, making sure that we're empowered underneath the ordinance to follow up and address, and how best to communicate that within our different departments and with animal control. One of the things that we realize is a little bit of a gap is that we have many new officers and staff all the way around between BPD, code enforcement, animal control, lines of communication started to break down a little bit. So one of the things we'll be developing is a training PowerPoint for BPD and code enforcement that they'll have as part of their regular sessions. And then we'll also develop a field guide so that they can keep with them in their vehicles. So when issues arise, they've got some reference material to fall back on that's easier than trying to figure it out in the code. A second thing along with that is some cross-training. Something we had done this past year is with a couple of recruits that had extra time before they went to academy, they did sessions with our code enforcement staff. We're going to make that a regular part of BPD training so that some of those issues like animal control, but also illegal dumps, abandoned vehicles, those things they're not criminal, but they're going to encounter. They'll have some better background on how to deal with those and how to work with code enforcement on resolving them. And then a final component will be more community outreach. We'll work with our PIO to standardize information to have out on all of our media channels to be able to make sure that our citizens have the information they need and know who to call for what issues. But also working on some community events. We're working on having leashes available. So if we encounter people without leashes, we're able to give them some. And also I got word from Joyce today. She's actually headed for orientation for her daughter for college. She was working while she was doing that. She got in touch with one of the chip companies and they've agreed to work with us. She's certified to be able to chip animals. So we're going to have a free community animal chipping day and different things like that so that we can gather the information and also get the information out in more appropriate manners. So y'all have the opportunity to go over that. I invite you, I know it's new information, but we want to take the opportunity while we were updating the animal control ordinance just to update you with where we were. So if you have follow-up questions on us, feel free to let us know.
I just wanted to say this. So thank you all so much for all the work that you're doing. But the animals that I encounter, they don't belong to anybody. I mean, this is nice. The chips and the leashes, amazing. But maybe that's the dogs on this side of town. But where I like these dogs, they're the type of dogs where it's a community dog, right? So I see this dog all the time. So I'm gonna put a bowl out with water. Not me, but I'm just saying. So it's community dogs. That's where my frustration comes in, not Mr. Rogers' dog that just got loose. So just FYI, these aren't the dogs. We're talking about a whole different breed.
I will say those dogs are certainly talked and addressed
Okay.
in the meeting we had with the county because they are the highest problem.
We have them on our side as well.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
and
migrating.
They
Okay.
they chased my wife and my nephew multiple times.
Okay. All right. Just
So those are definitely part of the conversation.
I was just
and
making
I think they're
sure.
probably the primary part of the
Yes.
conversation.
Okay.
But yes, we are addressing that as well.
I do have a question. This may be for Mr. Hunter or maybe for the city manager for his animal control. Like they said, the problem she calls it, labeled as community dogs pool free. And I know, my favorite, our citizen that calls and you say, oh yeah, I know it, but they have a issue with a dog as well, chasing up to their property, What can animal, or what is the plan from animal control to get these dogs? I mean, that's what we need help and assistance with, as to when we make that call, not saying call the non-emergency number, then the non-emergency number can't do much or this and that. It's a back and forth thing and we don't get anything accomplished. But if someone all of a sudden decide they want to shoot that dog, then what we gonna say? Oh, that's so-and-so dog. She killed my dog. I mean, really, help me out here.
Well, first of all, that would be a private matter between private parties, but that was also something that was discussed. That I think, and seeing it come through courts, I do have sympathy for the animal control officers in the sense that, again, when they are called out for something like that, a community dog chasing somebody somewhere, wherever it is, that it is not an easy task to capture, trap, impound that dog. There is significant difficulties they face in even trying to corner it, chase it down, not trespass across private property without notice. So I understand, and that's some of the things that I think going to try to look at when we do the overall rewrite. But there are hurdles, large hurdles in trying to capture a community dog. But
Right, because a person, if a person does harm to that community dog, then they label inhumane. They might get charges because, I love dogs. I had a dog. That's why I know, but I just don't want somebody to develop their own charge because from another law, protecting themselves from a loose dog. I mean, those are facts.
yeah.
And I think one of the things we're doing is we got to attack it from several different angles. The first is on anything we attack is going to be working with the community and education. So those dollars are in here, help people become better dog owners. I think there is a greater discussion that Commissioner Savy and City Manager are having a more forceful discussion on an overarching level about pickups. What are we doing with those dogs when we get them? X, Y, and Z, that I think is in the overarching conversation. So I don't think any part of it is being forgotten. I think each part of it is being worked on. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to discussion. Proposed amendment to Chapter 14 of the City of Brunswick Code of Ordinances addressing the use of certain motorized vehicles on city streets, sidewalks, and in city-owned parks.
Yes, this is another ordinance amendment coming forward as a result of a direction from the commission or consensus from the commission to look into this and how we might be able to address these issues. I think everyone is aware that the issues are primarily arising from users that are not abiding by general common sense and decency when utilizing a motorized vehicle. When I say motorized, I mean that the four-wheelers, dirt bikes, whether they're electric or gas powered, the scooters, and the e-bikes. This again also goes back to something that has been coming through municipal court as well, where we're seeing citations being issued. I do think there's a general misunderstanding as to what laws apply if you're on a bicycle, whether it be an e-bike or a normal bike, is going to be treated as a vehicle when it's on the city's public right of way. But it also doesn't, there's a trade over into, I think, some of the things that we've been seeing as they've been ridden on public property owned by the city, whether it be sidewalks, parks, or squares, and the general issues that it causes with pedestrian traffic or people in the parks and squares who are pedestrians as well, and the reckless, if they're being operated in a reckless manner, how we might look to address those. If you look to the ordinance amendment in section 1, 14-10, use of skateboard skates, those are ordinances that are already on the books in the city. Those made reference to motorized vehicles, but they were obviously somewhat antiquated in nature. I think the motorized vehicles that the old and original ordinance addressed are not the ones that we see now. These are not these things did not exist decades ago when when these laws were put on the books. And so in doing so, the first section, section 1 of this ordinance, it only serves to remove remove the references to motorized vehicles, because section 2 is a full rewrite, comprehensive, new section to this chapter 14 that addresses all of the new vehicles we're kind of seeing. In doing this, I kind of looked back towards like our alcohol ordinance when it was very much outdated, and we had all of these new ideas and all the new state laws that have been put in place to allow you to do all sorts of different things. Growlers, breweries, distilleries, whatever are coming on the scene. The state is attempting to try to keep up with those by passing legislation. But as new things pop up, it's difficult to regulate. So looking to section 2, it provides definitions. I pulled those definitions. Many of them mirror what is already included in either state regulations or state statutes as it relates to dirt bikes, e-bikes, all-terrain vehicles, UTVs, personal mobility devices. I mean, I tried to look through and do a comprehensive rewrite. If there are sections in here that the city commission either wants to lessen the regulation or remove entirely, of course, I'm all ears, but I did think it needs all to be included up front, and then we can have the discussion. And if there's comments suggesting revisions, I'm happy to do that. But it primarily is seeking to regulate the use of motorized vehicles, especially in the more urban areas where there are smaller streets. Our right-of-ways are not always going to be the full width. There are not sidewalks in every area of the city. We know that. And the parks and squares are, just generally speaking, not areas where you should be operating a motorized vehicle within the parks and squares.
Perfect. Questions or comments?
I have a comment. I was thinking about this, when I was reading the draft. But then also knowing that there are certain things that we can regulate, on a local level, hoping that they will not contradict state laws that's already in place. So my question, drawn from that perspective is, how can we breach that bridge between local ordinances that we want to implement, because it's impacting us locally, but it's really somewhat like on a state level as well. So how do we move in that space to get some things that we're seeing now becoming, not just a state issue, but a national issue as well, with these motorized bikes? Certain states have certain requirements. Wear helmets, don't wear helmets. We wear helmets in Georgia.
Well, it's part of this new ordinance does require a helmet to be worn.
Yes. And so, with that, tightening down on that and how that looks, with those helmets and the requirement of those helmets. But then also, how do we move to partner possibly on the state level with DMV, and them now moving to require the helmets, when the person goes to, be licensed, or to get a license, or to require a license, and also in requiring that license for these now, new types of motorized vehicles that's coming out that do move, beyond 25 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour. Some of them go pretty fast, but they don't have licensure requirements at this point. How do we bridge that? And that was where my thoughts went, is to, if we're even in all of the efforts we make on a local level, I think we can be more, even move beyond just the local level to try to be more impactful, and now bring it before legislation or whatever avenue we have to take to say, okay, now things have changed, times have changed. We used to have, DVDs, then we went to Blu-rays, so that type of stuff, it's moving in that facet. So how do we now move beyond just our doing this here, and try to, be the voices for making this change, to work in conjunction with DMV and these people, and to licensures, the licensing process, to make a even bigger impact? Because people ain't gonna really pay attention. I saw a bunch of them riding on my way here, And I said, unless we can just pull everyone we see riding on those things to educate them, because they are not reading these ordinances and all this stuff. And so that's why they out there riding. Or if they've not been chased by the police, then they don't have that immediate concern. But if they've got to go and, get a license or something to that effect, then now, it's not just at a local level, it's at a state level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the state's going to catch up on licensing. I think they're going to leave licensing up to, they're going to continue to maintain that licensing as a state issue as it relates to like cars, vehicles driving. And I think it's important too that in looking at this ordinance, it doesn't prohibit, and I've seen a lot of comments already, and I think they're assuming things based on what they haven't read the ordinance. That's all I'll say. But it does not prohibit e-bikes on city streets. It doesn't. And it doesn't because bicycles are already contemplated as vehicles when they're being operated on a city street. I mean, the state law is already applicable to those. It does place a higher restriction that you must wear a helmet if you're going to operate on there. But I mean, I think it's a known thing that you can operate a bike on a right of way. What I do think is important as we look to these is that I don't think there is a well-known differential of like where the regular human powered is what they call it, bicycle or skateboard, where that like ability to do that without repercussion stops, and where you utilizing a motorized whether it's an e-bike or skateboard or whatever starts. And just to give a primary example, recently in municipal court, there was a individual who presented and was adamant about having the case dismissed. It was driving under the influence. Kind of looked at him like, I was on a bicycle, I was on a motorized bicycle. And if you want to go back and look at the state laws, the state of Georgia, you're going to be found guilty on operating intoxicated in the middle of the city right of way. You're subject to those laws. So I think there just needs to be more of an education. And I hope that having this ordinance out in the public will show that I also think there's a difference too, that there's an idea that these are bikes or scooters. They still are motorized and they are being ridden through parks and squares in a manner that if these things were fully up to speed as they ride through, where there are kids playing on playgrounds, things can go very, very wrong very quickly. And I don't know if there's an outright knowledge out there at the moment, again, just through experience and some of the citations that officers have had to write already, that you can't do that it's seen as like, it's just a bike. It's just a bike. It's 49 cc's. So the motor doesn't require me to have a driver's license. Well, by the laws of the state of Georgia, that is true, but it still doesn't allow you to operate it in that manner on city property or in the city right of way. So I do think that some of the regulations that we're putting forward a lot of it might just be educational. I'd say some of them are probably common sense. Please don't ride a four-wheeler in Orange Square. I mean, please, it's not the appropriate place to do that, but we might see it happen.
And you're just seeing the parks, and I just want to say this because I saw all the comments from the Brunswick News Post and everything. It's not that, and I'm just speaking from my seat, it's not by any way against people having fun or that we're trying to take everything away. It's how you go about riding the bike. Y'all are speaking about parks. I'm speaking about me being at the red light, headed to Target. The light is red, so we stop. So now the traffic on the spur is green, and then you have the motorized bikes riding in front of it. Someone could have easily been killed. So now you have a mother burying her son, or children have to bury their fathers, because these aren't young kids, by the way. These are people that are my age, in their 30s. It's a thrill. They're having fun, but it's, this has come about because how they're utilizing the bikes. You're cutting in front of traffic. You're cutting, and it's dangerous.
Yes.
And so many negative comments until it happens to someone in your family, and then they're hurt, right?
I think that's an excellent example that I've seen it too, even at that very shopping area, that they will be riding an e-bike alongside of traffic flowing north. Someone goes to turn right into Target. They don't realize that they need to yield to a vehicle if something terrible happens. So I think that's the point, and we just need to kind of try to get out in front of it. I hope it's educational. I do think there eventually will be some legislation at the state level to try to address some of these recreational electric or gas powered devices.
I have just a quick, I mean, we need to break, but, section, you mentioned the 14-10. I just want to be clear that I understand that it's talking about the non-motorized items in that section, and it's specific to GC Core, correct? It doesn't address any other city.
That's correct too. So and it's an important connotation.
Yeah.
And I actually highlighted that after a couple comments. I was going
Right.
to talk to John about it because we might want to address that while we have it cracked open
Yeah.
to amend it to make sure it reflects the most recent zoning. But also, yes, there is certainly areas in which you can ride a human powered skateboard
Yeah.
on sidewalks
And I think the reason we have that in the ordinance and when it was initially done is because obviously this is a dense area, high traffic
Correct.
area. We have angled
correct.
parking where we don't have good visibility as people are pulling out initially. And obviously we don't want those items on the city sidewalks right there as you have businesses opening their doors and customers coming in and out. So I think that totally makes sense. The only other thing or question I had was, the e-bikes are a great mode of transportation, and I think addressing them and talking about them is important. I don't see where where we define an electric scooter. So I didn't
Those are common, I
know. I think there's some confusion there, and they're not necessarily a skateboard because they have a handle, but in the definition of they don't classify under electric bike because they don't have a seat. So I would ask you as we look at that revision, maybe we just need to find what an e-scooter is, and they have probably the same parameters in terms of wattage and speed requirements, because you also have the scooters that have a gas motor on them that are some of the ones that are causing issues. So
There is actually under motorized skateboard, it says motorized skateboard or motorized scooter. I do think probably need to break those two things up.
because you have electric, so I would break off.
And it's
yeah.
it's moving flag. I mean, it is a moving target on some of these things. Even
Oh, yeah.
some of the ordinance I've looked at have been 2003 to present because I think cities are trying to address these issues. And even from one of the ones I looked at in 2023, excuse me, I believe it's in 2003, but I meant 2023, that there's probably even there, they might need to go back and
Go back
amend
and
to
update
address
it.
for these new
Mhm.
types of devices.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate our hard work. Look forward to seeing the next revision. And
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask you to direct the attorney to go ahead and advertise and we get that revision going.
I
Perfect.
feel we'll get some public comments on this
Yep.
one for sure.
Good deal. We have consensus there. Good deal. With that, we will adjourn to executive session
Yes.
for,
We have litigation and real estate. That all. Do we have personnel? And there's personnel as well.
And the other thing that we're working on.
I am so sorry. Yes. And I have been working diligently on that one, and it is a very tricky one, but we are looking at an ordinance to regulate solicitation of money, general solicitation of money, person to person, whether it be downtown, and how we might be able to regulate that. Not even downtown, just in the entirety of the city of Brunswick. So I know that the county passed one recently. I've been reviewing theirs, but there has been some, we're different. We need to see how we might be able to utilize that ordinance in our downtown area. It's going to be different than the counties, but I'm hopeful to bring a draft forward on that one for discussion August, the first meeting in August. No, it'll be for the entire city, but because of solicitation of money, it is different than the one that the county passed in the sense that we do have this downtown urban area where there is a higher likelihood of these events happening. And so I just want to make sure there's some constitutional issues we need to make sure are worked out on the ordinance.
good deal. With that, we will open it for a motion to adjourn for executive session.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion. We adjourn to executive session for purposes of real estate litigation and personnel.
Hearing the first, do I hear a second? Hearing the first and the second, all those in favor show by sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Hearing none, we are adjourned for executive session. We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We will now open it for a motion to adjourn. Hearing the first, and I will second. All those in favor show by the sign of aye. Aye. All those opposed, the same. Hearing none, the motion passes. We are adjourned.